Well, today on the bench we have an old reel-to-reel machine. This belongs to a friend of a friend. It's one of 2 units he's acquired, and he wants to use these for tape looping for music. This particular one is a Truvox. It's variously known as an R1 and also an RE-15. There's very little information online about these. There's no schematics. There's 1 or 2 posts on a few forums of people who have restored these or tried to restore these. So anyway, we're going to have a look at this over the next couple of weeks, I suspect. I've already taken a quick look, and it's in pretty average condition, to be honest with you. Let me just get the camera repositioned. I'll take the top off, and then we'll see how we go from there. Okay, so here's the unit with the lid off. You can see it's in, well, reasonable condition really, given its age. I think these are sort of mid to late 50s, maybe early 60s for the later models. It obviously is very, very dirty. It needs a good clean. The buttons themselves look as though they're okay, and the tape movement also seems to all work. All of the contacts are there, and the rollers seem to spin pretty well. So all in all, at least we know that we're starting from something that, from the tape deck itself, seems to be reasonably complete, if somewhat grubby. Which is not surprising, because I understand this has been in somebody's loft for at least 30 years. So I think we can all expect a bit of dirt and grime. And as we'll see in a minute, that certainly continues on into the body of the machine. Now, in order to get these recorders out of the case, it's pretty simple. There are 2 screws, one on either side over here, and then the carrying handle at the top is just removed on 2 long bolts, and then the whole assembly can just slide straight forward out of the case. And once you've done that, you end up with a sandwich with the amplifier underneath, and then the mechanical drive unit on the top. Now, separating those 2 is a bit more tricky, unless you are going to be unsoldering wires from the amplifier straight away. In order to remove the 2, you will have to cut a few cables in order to facilitate easy access. And I've already done that, so what I'm going to do now is get rid of the case in the mechanical component off the top, and we'll have a look at the amplifier in a bit more detail, and have a look at some of the work that's going to need to be done. Okay, so this is the amplifier itself. As I said, I can't find any schematics at all for these units, so whether this is a separate, more widely produced amplifier by, I don't know, maybe somebody like Mallard or something like that, I don't know. I need to do a bit more research and maybe even find, hopefully, a manufacturer's name or something like that, just so that I can get some schematics for this. It is a single-ended amp. It's 5 tubes plus a I tube. You can see I've already removed all the tubes from the top of the unit here, just for safekeeping, and we'll test those out a bit later on the tube tester, just to see how they are. They didn't look as though all of them were original. They're a mix of Brimar and Mallards. But the top of the amplifier here, you can see, is extremely dusty, dirty, so this is all going to need to be cleaned out. What you can't see is down in the speaker there's an awful lot of crap and detritus, so the speakers will have to come out and be cleaned off. reasonably simple layout from the top here, AC in. These are the lines I had to cut in order to separate the amplifier from the tape unit itself. Two shielded cables, so this is going to be audio for the record and the playback heads, I imagine. An AC line, the tape drive is AC driven, AC motors. There's also a DC line here which comes back in. I don't know what the voltage is on that yet, but I'm not really sure what that's for yet. Could be that the DC is used for braking the unit, because there is no physical brake on the drives itself, so we'll need to have a look at that in due course. Other than that, what I'll do now is I'll turn this unit over and we can have a look at the condition of the circuit and the electronics. Okay, this is the business end of the amplifier itself. It looks pretty original, actually. I can't, on the first kind of inspection, see that it's been monkeyed about by anybody in particular. It looks reasonably factory. Without a schematic, it's going to be quite difficult to tell whether anybody's messed about with it, but most of the components look period. There's quite a bit of work that's going to need to be done before we can even think about switching this on and doing further testing. The first thing that we need to do really is check the transformer, and the reason why is because talking to the chap who this belongs to, it was switched on when it came out of the attic, but there was no sign of life, and not in itself a big problem, but the voltage selector when I received the unit was at 120 to 140 volts, and it has a 3-pin plug on with incidentally a 13 amp fuse, which seems a bit much for me. So anyway, if this has had 230, 240 volts in on the 140 volt winding, then we might have a bit of an issue with the transformer. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the transformer out, and we'll put it on the variac and current controlled isolation transformer, and we'll just do some testing of the outputs. There's a couple of 6.3 volt outputs here, one for the rectifier and one for the heaters for the rest of the tubes, and a plus or minus 250 volt DC primary, or sorry, I should say main secondary winding. Now, whilst we're on that subject, I am not an expert at all. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I'm just a hobbyist. So if you are following along, be aware that these sorts of units, anything really with vacuum tubes in it, there's elevated voltage all over the circuit. So you need to be pretty careful what you're doing. You need to really know what you're doing. As I say, if you're following along, you're doing so at your own risk, as Mr. Carlson would say. Once we've had the transformer out and had a look at that, then again, before I do anything else, I'm going to give the unit a good clean all the switches, all the switch gear. There's an awful lot of dust and crap all over the place on the switches. Check all the potentiometers as well. And then we need to change quite a few caps. There's the main electrolytic smoothers. No doubt they'll be gone by now, all dried up. There's another electrolytic over here, another one here. All of these waxies, they all need to go as well. 2 more electrolytics in here, so there's a fair bit of work that needs to be done just to get it into, just to get it to the point where I'm happy to apply some power to it and see where we're at. So first order day then, get this out, test this, get rid of all of these old capacitors. We'll also do some checks on them as well, just to see how bad they really are. And then once we've done all of that work, then we'll test the tubes, and then we'll see about putting some power on in a controlled manner. So that's it for now. More to come later as I progress, and thanks for watching.